I'm Sam the dog coach, and I'm going to take you through some scenarios that you may encounter with your assigned dog, and some tips that I hope will help both you and your dog have really enjoyable walks. It's important to hold your dog's lead with enough slack so that your dog can roam, but while still keeping enough control. It's a good idea to walk them on the inner pavement side away from the traffic. If you are walking through a crowd or on a busy pavement, keep your dog on a shorter lead and encourage them to walk by your side. Make sure you keep a really good hold of the end of the lead. You'll get to know how your own assigned dog walks, but there's always the opportunity for a sudden pull if they see another dog or a cat or a squirrel. Once you're in a park or open space, it's really important to let your dog stop and sniff and explore. For safety, you're going to be keeping your assigned dog on lead at all times. This doesn't mean they can't have really lovely walks. It does, however, mean it's even more important to give your dog some choices and let them explore their surroundings. Dogs love to sniff. It's really tiring for them, as well as being very calming, as it causes their pulse rate to drop. Dogs have 220 million odour receptors in comparison to our 50 million, which goes part of the way to explain why they love to sniff so much. Letting your dog stop and sniff and explore is a really good way to help build their confidence. Rather than distance covered, it's important to think about the quality of the walk and how your dog might like to spend it. It's also worth keeping in mind if your dog is newly adopted, then just being outside in a new environment can be quite overwhelming, so it does no harm to take things nice and slowly. Dogs pull because when they do, they move forwards and you follow. Even if it hurts them to pull, they can then pull even more to try and get away from the pain. The best thing to do if your dog pulls is stop completely still. Do not let them move forwards. If they pull, they don't get anywhere. Then you can make a noise like a whistle or a click or call your dog's name. When they turn to look at you or investigate the noise, make a lot of fuss, give them a treat and encourage them back by your side. You can then try walking again and repeat the process if necessary. You can also reward your dog on the move. This way they learn that it pays to stay quite near to you. Again, we don't need your dog to be stuck by your side. It's just nice to have a bit of slack on that lead. Every dog is unique. While some dogs love meeting new dogs out and about, others can be a bit wary, and for some it can be quite stressful. Get to know your dog and how they feel about meeting other dogs whilst out and about. The most important thing is that they feel safe with you. The easiest way to achieve this is to never force them into a situation that they're uncomfortable with. If your dog barks at other dogs, or if they look uncomfortable, for instance, if their tail is tucked between their legs or they're trying to move away, then give them space and assure them in a calm voice that everything is okay. It's also important to realise that dogs don't generally like being approached head-on. They can find this quite threatening. So if a dog is approaching you on a pavement directly and your dog looks uncomfortable, you can either cross the road or you can act as a physical barrier and have your dog wait until the other dog has passed. If your dog likes meeting other dogs, then it's great for them to have a sniff and a hello. If the other dog is also on lead, you can check in with their owner and see if their dog is happy to be approached. After a while, you can encourage your dog along and give them a treat or some praise to reward any calm and friendly behaviour. Similarly to meeting other dogs, dogs have different tolerances to meeting people out and about. While some dogs love meeting new people and getting some firsts, for others, having a stranger leaning over them and suddenly stroking them can be quite frightening. As a rule, if people ask if they can stroke your dog, the best thing to do is have them put their hand out and see if your dog approaches them. If your dog does approach, then they're probably happy to have a gentle stroke. It's even less scary for the dog if the person can crouch down to their level rather than leaning over them. If your dog loves meeting new people but gets really excited and jump up, you can reward them by giving them a treat when they have 4 paws on the floor. It's really important that we don't let them practice this behaviour of jumping up to greet people, especially if they're jumping up at a child, because it's very easy for them to knock them over. A bit of road safety can be invaluable when walking your assigned dog. We want our dog to wait at the side of the road and not pull to get across. So to do this, when you approach the edge of the curb, you're going to use a downward hand signal like this and a verbal cue of wait. When your dog stops and looks at you, you're going to give them a bit of praise and a treat. If they stay there for another couple of seconds, give them another treat. You can then check for traffic. If it's safe to cross, give your dog a verbal cue. I use over, and I also point, as dogs often pick up our physical cues better than our words. It's really important that you don't reward your dog once you've crossed the road. We want all the praise and treats to happen whilst they're waiting, so your dog learns not to dash across the road for a treat. Remember to use pedestrian crossings and avoid busy roads. Some dogs like to scavenge. It's a very natural behaviour. It's absolutely fine for your dog to sniff at things. However, there are some food items like chocolate or chicken bones that can be quite dangerous for dogs and are best avoided. It's not advisable to take food out of your dog's mouths. It's much better to avoid these items and ideally teach them a leave command. So for leave, if your dog is trying to get to something you don't want it to have, stop completely still, don't let them get to it. You're then going to ask them to leave. There's then a bit of a waiting game while they try and get to what they want. Leave it. Oh, good girl, well done. Well done, good girl, good girl. Eventually, mainly out of frustration, your dog will look at you. When they do, make loads of fuss, give your dog a treat and lots of praise. You can then encourage them away from the food item. If you do this a few times, your dog should cotton on that when you ask them to leave and they look at you, they're going to get a treat. Treats will be your best friend in building a good relationship with your assigned dog. You can reward good behaviour by using treats, and you can also do nice things with them, such as a treat search in some long grass. Remember to check with the dog's owner if the treats are appropriate and if you're able to give them treats. Some dogs may be on a diet, or there could be a medical reason for why they're not allowed treats. Positive reinforcement, such as treats, toys and praise, is always better than punishment. You must never punish your dog by shouting at them or hitting them. If you do, this can make the dog more fearful and the unwanted behaviour can get even worse. It's important to always be prepared with more poop bags than you think you may need. Even if you think you're only going to need 1 or 2, it's worth taking a couple of spares in case your assigned dog has a poorly stomach. If this happens, you're going to be very glad that you've brought some spares with you. To clean up the poop, simply open the bag, put your hand inside and use the outside of the bag to pick it up. 1 bag is normally enough, but if there's anything you've missed, then use a second bag. Once you've cleaned everything up, tie the top of the bag and place it in the next bin you come across. If your dog has a poorly tummy, if it's runny or there's any blood in it, or if it's a bit of an unusual colour, then please inform the owner. Engage with your assigned dog and try and put your phone away. This will help you build the best relationship possible with your dog. It will increase their enjoyment of walking with you, and it will also help you keep them safe and happy on what will probably be the highlight of their day.